This program and its contents are designed for information and educational purposes only. This program does not render medical advice or professional services and is not intended to be a substitute for professional care. The information provided here should not be used for the purposes of diagnosing or treating a medical or psychiatric condition. If you have or suspect you may have a health problem, consult your healthcare provider.
Hi, I'm Diane Silva. Welcome back to Positive Momentum, and we have Benji back with us. And we're going to finish up on last week's session because we have a lot to talk about. Benji and I have a lot of history, and we have some good energy. We're hoping to have some fun this one. And we challenged you last week. Try to keep up. So if you have to do anything, do it now. So Benji, one of the things we didn't get a chance to talk about last week was some of the challenges you encountered. So if we could kind of recap real quick your from last week, and then let's get into the challenges.
Absolutely. Well, I again, some of the major accomplishments was my Air Force Academy experience, my Air Force experience. I now am a family man, working man, got my day job. On the weekends, I'm a flight instructor, 2 kids, and some of the kind of the major things in my life that we talked about last week was the infertility, and also one of the major things in my life is my Christian walk, my walk with Christ, and how that helps shape some things, and kind of that failing forward is another thing that kind of helps shape my life. So, and trust me, I don't take myself too serious, but there's a lot of things that are serious that kind of helped shape me to the man that I am. Cool.
So let's talk about some of those challenges that shaped you.
Absolutely.
As they say, it's not our successes that really shape who we are, it's our failures or our challenges. I hate to use the word failure because if we learn something, it's never a failure.
Right.
Because if we take it and say, okay, I learned from that, I'm not going to, as you put it, I'm not going to hit that rock again.
Right. Right.
So.
And you're absolutely right. It's when you do something over and over. And some people are like, hey, is there any dumb mistakes you've ever made in your life? And I'm like, there's no dumb mistake. If you do the same thing over and over and you don't learn from it, okay, now that's a dumb mistake.
Right.
Right. But if you learn something, that's kind of a failing forward, or and again, I think failure is one of the best ways for trial. Just to, fall, skin your knee, get up, and move on. So, so you asked me some of the challenges. At the point in time, again, that I was this big dreamer, and I was always about what's going to be happening next year. I still am. Just try to learn how to self-regulate it now, and my wife helps me out with that a lot. I get mad at her, and then I go fly.
And she forgives you.
No, she's my buddies say this, and I totally believe it. I outkicked my coverage on that one.
Okay.
So she's just wonderful, wonderful woman. So when I was at the Air Force Academy, 60 to 69% of them graduates would go to pilot training. Well, at that point in time, there's a lot of defense cutbacks. So now not only 600 people were going to pilot training, there's only 225.
Okay.
And so I'm like, I think I got it. I mean, this and that, but I didn't have the academic criteria. One of the major things as far as tasting failure for the first time was that I didn't get selected for pilot training. And there's a part of me that I was so focused on that dream and it didn't happen. A part of me died. So that was something that was big, that I had a lot of support to help me get back up and get going again. One of the other failures was being in nav training. So that's kind of like my plan B. And I tell a lot of kids now, and it's okay, you better have your plan A and your plan B, because I am a living testament. I'm living right now on plan F. So just be ready.
Gotcha.
I washed out of nav training, and I was an F-15 Wizzo in training and washed out. The air-to-air intercepts were absolutely awesome and a ton of fun. I just didn't get them. I didn't get it. So what's really interesting about that is that I pouted and I washed out and I opted to get out, because at that point in time they were just cutting back. So they enabled me to, well, you can get out if you want. I'm like, I will. And so I went into the pharmaceutical industry. And I got out of the Air Force, and I felt that if I'm not going to be doing my dream, then I'm not going to do it at all. So it took about a 2-3 week out processing time. And so we moved to Chicago, awesome city. And lo and behold, the itch came back, and I wanted to go flying. And I knew right then and there that was a gift that God gave me, not the Air Force. So I loved the Air Force. That's my first love. It didn't work out, so I get it. And so that was one. And then I started the pharmaceutical career field, and I knew right then and there I wanted to be the CEO. So I wanted to just start running, do that corporate ladder. And I was with Pfizer for 10 years and had a wonderful career, great company. Well, the pharmaceutical industry started to right size. There was kind of an arms race. There was Pfizer, there was Merck, and all these big companies, and they were just getting more and bigger. Well, it got to the point where the industry just didn't, there's too many reps. We knew it, and so they downsized. And, and they're like, hey, we're going to be downsizing for the first time in 150 years of existence. And I'm like, not me, because, I'm one of those guys on the list to get promoted. And so my brother had been very high in the org chart of the organization, and I got downsized. I was in North Dakota.
Oh, wow.
North Dakota. Me, brother, North Dakota, they're like, so I was a manager, and people would tease me. They're like, what are you doing in North Dakota? I'm like, I know I can win up there. So it was cold. I swear to you, I don't know if there's any Star Wars fans. Have you ever seen Star Wars? Empire Strikes Back?
Yes, I have.
I swear
I've been
to
in
you,
North Dakota.
I was driving once on I-29. I was driving, and I swear to you, I saw a Tauntaun just walking. I'm like, it was that cold. It was freezing. But I got out. I got out of the car once, and I'm telling you, and I'm like, ooh, my nose started bleeding. It was that cold. It was crazy. But I love North Dakota. No offense to North Dakotans. It's all good. My baby boy was born in North Dakota, so it's all good. Yeah. So, but I lost that job, and so we moved down here to Omaha. So hence the reason why you and I have met. And
there was a reason for that.
Yeah, there's a reason, and God has, He just works in mysterious ways sometimes. Yeah. But anyway, so that's that. But so I went from job to job in the pharmaceutical career field, because a lot of these companies, and it was just changing. The healthcare field was changing. They didn't need as many. So every place that I went, I basically got downsized until now. I'm with a wonderful company now. So, and it's all good. But it's shaped me. And you asked the question, so how did you cope? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's my DNA. And I think it probably is my DNA. Man, you got to get up and take the next step. And like I said, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. And Michael Irvin, he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He didn't live the most shiny life, but okay. I think he's kind of... Who does? Well, he was kind of he was a Rolling Stone back in the day.
Okay, gotcha.
But he's grown since then. And he made this comment when he's being inducted in the Hall of Fame. And he said something like, when you're down, he's like, and he's, tears going down his face. He's like, you need to get up. You need to look up and don't ever give up. And I'm like, that's a man that gets it now. That gets it. So get up, look up to God, mm-hmm. and don't ever give up. And so that's my thing. My dad, when he was living, was the example of a real man. He was one that instilled that into me from a long time. Just like, you got to take your next step. Take your next step. And that was something that is just, ingrained into me. My time at the Air Force Academy, I don't understand the word quit.
Good.
Right?
Good. I do, but I'm learning.
And that's okay. Yeah. I don't. That's just No, don't get me wrong. So this is something that was kind of interesting when you talk about the word quit. As a flight instructor, my mindset is more of a positive. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Hey, awesome, good, yes. Good, real good. Mm-hmm. But if
experienced that
there's something
firsthand.
that will make me mad at a student or get me frustrated pretty big, I'm not a screamer.
No,
and
you're
I always
not.
say that. I was like, you're not going to have me scream at you. I don't scream in the cockpit. We didn't in the Air Force, and you're professional, but there's two things. First of all, if you scare me, and you do it on purpose, then I'm going to be upset,
Oh,
right?
well,
So
yeah.
sometimes I've been scared, like, whoa, my plane, right? But I'm not going to yell at you. But if you do it on purpose, then I'm going to be upset. Now, but there's a frustration level is one of the biggest things that I've realized is if you're in a maneuver and you do it wrong and then you just quit. Oh, well, now that's going to make me, I'm like, okay. Try that when I'm not in the airplane, then you're going to be on the news as a fatality.
Right.
So we do not quit in the cockpit. You don't do it.
Right.
And so that's interesting. So it's against my grain on that. But that's the biggest thing. How do you overcome your challenges? Get up and take the next step and keep on trucking. Now learn from it. But that's the thing that I put emphasis on.
Well, and that kind of great segue into how we met. I was trying to overcome a challenge. As you may know if you've been following the show or familiar with Positive Momentum at all, I am recovering from anxiety and severe phobia. And one of them was my fear of flying. And I had gotten to the point where I had literally got off an aircraft. They had already pulled the jetway away. They were devising the plane.
I tell
and
that story all the time. I tell that story all the time. And not to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Like I said, tell them to keep up.
And so you told me that story where they had to pull the jetway, and I'm like, okay, that's a big deal.
Yes, they don't normally pull the jetway
No.
back and let you off the plane once the doors are closed.
Big deal.
Yes.
So you told me that story, and I felt that this was no mistake, because when you called the flight school, and they answered the phone, and I'm sitting there talking to another student, and it was a blessing. They were like, hey, Benji, can you take this phone call? And they're like, I think this is a student that, I think she's afraid of flying. I'm like, perfect, put her on. Hey, what's going on? This is Benji, hey. And you were a ham.
Still am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
So, and I have got a different definition, and you're probably going to have to bleep this one out. So, HAM. You were in a hot mess. You were a hot ass mess. You were a ham. But I loved you. I loved you.
I'm still pretty much a
Well,
ham.
it is. Join the party. Get in line.
I'm first.
But I knew with you, and again, I got to give glory to my Lord, because in the pilot community, they eat their young. If you don't cut it, off you go.
Yeah, and there was
Right.
a couple pilots there who were like,
That have that mentality, and that's actually, one of my other successes. Or you said what inspired or pointed or pushed or dragged you into the direction. Part of it is the failing forward.
right.
As far as what pushed you or inspired you, my USAFA or Air Force Academy experience, that was a God-given thing. Being a pilot, God-given thing.
Right.
Being a certified flight instructor, you know what that was? Being so exposed to a horrible CFI, a horrible instructor, and there are too many of them. And what I mean by that is the lack of compassion. And so when I heard your voice, I'm like, I was so thankful that I had the opportunity, like, you know what? I want to help this person. I want to help you because I love this and I want to give this to someone else. And so what better way of having someone who was, okay, this is going to be a baby step. I'm just going to say, hi, I'm Benji, and call me back. Click. Okay, next step, this is what we're going to do. Okay, just come on out to the drive, just come out to the parking lot. That's all we want to do. You ain't going to see an airplane today. Come on out, let me just, listen, bald head, black guy, ton of energy. And I've been told that my energy scares people, so I got to be very careful how I self-regulate that.
Yeah, but from you and I, we are so much alike. I
Right,
mean,
right.
we'll just ping off each other.
So you know what's fascinating though? This is what's fascinating is, and I saw this in my babies in the womb.
Okay.
Because fertility, so we were high-risk pregnancy, and so we were pregnant with twins. You want to talk about an anxiety attack? You want to talk about anxiety? I don't have anxiety, but I did have a little small attack once. So, you know, we were struggling to get pregnant. We finally got pregnant. I'm like, oh, thank the Lord. Okay, cool. This is perfect. We go back, and like, boom, boom. You're having twins? I'm like, sweet, perfect. I'm gonna go to Babies R Us. I'm gonna go ahead and buy these baby little booties type of thing. And I bought 2 blue. You know, I knew I was gonna have, you know, my little boys, my men, and that's perfect. So I had my little flight suits ready. And so then they got older, or they progressed more, and they did the ultrasounds, and they're like, okay, there's 1 hamburger bun and another hamburger bun. Yep, 2 girls. I'm like, anxiety attack. I had one, and I was like, I don't know how to raise girls. I don't know. And my baby girls, and they're 11 years old twins right now, and they're full of energy. My girls make me into being better men. Being a better man, because and not to dwell off into another topic, I'm saying is that it makes me be a better man because, you know, I need to model what I want their husbands to look like.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's one point.
Exactly.
But, so with that being said, though, I could see my children, and there's one in the womb. She's, you know, kind of like a, you know, yeah, what's going on? You know, just chilling. I might suck my thumb in the womb. You know, it might be kind of good, you know. And then there's one in the womb. Bop, 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 bop. Just kicking. I'm like, what is, oh my God.
That's my
And she
father.
came out of the womb, and my little baby, I'm like, hey, you know, well, hey, Lily, you know, bring it down a notch. Got to bring it down a notch. She's used to us now, because my wife, when she's in her way and I'm in, we have just energy oozing out of the house. So Lily has pure energy as well. So it's interesting when I was being my professional development, they're like, you know, hey, listen, your energy kind of scares people. I'm like, ooh, and I see that in my baby. So I'm like, but it's a beautiful energy. She's so beautiful. So don't ever let anybody tell you, Lily, that your energy scares people. It's all good. Just learn to embrace it.
And that's with anybody. Embrace yourself.
Embrace.
Don't-
Oh,
yes.
amen. Amen.
So back to our flight training. I remember walking into and you had me sitting. Eventually, we sat in an aircraft,
Yep.
and like, this one ain't happening.
That was the Piper.
Yeah,
But then you know what we figured out though?
What?
That it was not. You had a fear of flying, but we kind of located where you were claustrophobic more.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I will give you that because,
Right.
you know, we talk about, you know, in aircraft, in commercial aircraft, and when I'm talking commercial, I'm talking, you know, United, Delta,
And United,
blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
watching your movie and your
Yeah.
chips, yeah.
But, you know, you're facing forward, you can't see anything but heads.
Right.
You know, so it's like, okay, I can't get out, can't get out. You know, and unless you're sitting by that little bitty window going like this, you don't see anything but heads inside of this little bitty tube, and for how many hours and hours and hours. And you know,
Okay.
even if you're sitting, if I can't get to the window, I'll at least try the next seat over, and I'm kind of looking over people and looking over that way. I need to see outside.
Yes.
It's the claustrophobia thing.
You're in one of the coping techniques that we did was, Diane, get a window every time. Because now you're the pilot in the back, and you're just kind of figuring out what's going on. What phase of flight are we in? How fast are we going? So what's going on with the principles of flight? And so you can ask these questions, and next thing you know, you're in the descent. That's one. Not to endorse one airline, but sometimes they will actually pipe in the radio, the
Right.
ATC.
Air traffic control, for anybody who doesn't know.
Air traffic control. Pipe that in. For me, that is a nice. That's a nice noise. I actually sleep like a champ, but I have ATC piped in. You know, as an instructor, I know what's going on. Usually, I go to the cockpit, talk to the pilots, and all that kind of stuff. But for someone who has a fear of flying, pick up a book and understand the incredible amount of science that goes into flying an airplane. This isn't just some, no, it's magic. It's not magic. It's science. It's hard science.
It's proven.
So that you're understanding and listen on to what's going on with, the phase of flight. Oh, they're talking to Cleveland Center. Okay, next should be Chicago Center. And oh, by the way, it's not just me and this airplane that's up there. There's actually 5 other airplanes ahead of you, maybe by 10, 20 miles, that are just talking and turbulence. There's actual science to turbulence.
Yes, let's real quick.
Let's talk about it.
One of the things I try to do when I'm actually driving is anytime I hit a bump, I'm going turbulence.
That's
I change
exactly what
it
it is.
to this way instead of a bump in the road. If I can make myself say turbulence.
I think that's fantastic.
It's a way to, when I do get in the air, 'cause, I mean, we got chased out of the East Coast by Hurricane Irene, and we were one of the last flights out. So let's just say we had a very bumpy ride. Even the stewardesses are back there going, our flight attendants, excuse me, are not serving and everything. And I'm just kind of bouncing the way through and going, okay, taking my pill, my laughable dose.
Okay, all right, okay, all right. But I'm gonna challenge you on something.
Go ahead, go for it.
Did you just hear yourself saying that we are the last flight out and Hurricane Irene was chasing you out? And when I met you,
yeah.
You told me the story that they had to pull the thing up to get you out.
Right.
So now where you were to where you are now, you actually are you have overcome your fear. Is it gone?
No.
Is it gone? No.
I got to get to Hawaii in 8 months, so I'm going to need
Please,
your help.
so this is what you're going to do. We're going to do a couple flights, first of all. Second of which, we're going to have some fun. I don't know if I
think we should follow us. I think that should be one of our challenges here. I think
your flight to Hawaii.
Well, we should follow us on the show and follow our progress.
Done deal. That's done.
Okay.
I'm putting this on the air right now. Diane Silva will be a private pilot in 3 years. She will be a private pilot where she's flying her own airplane.
Well, you can
Just
pay
saying.
for it?
Well, not her own airplane. She's going to rent.
Okay.
I don't have my own airplane. I've told my wife that I wanted to buy one today. She's like, please. I'm like, well, I guess that's not happening. But I'm kidding. Actually, she's incredibly supportive. But you're going to be a pilot in 3 years, and we're going to track your success.
Okay, but in the meantime, we just got to get me to Hawaii, as they put it on Hotel Transylvania.
So, first of all, look forward.
I am. It's Hawaii.
I know, but I'm saying just the beaches, the warm weather. Maybe see a volcano.
I got to first
It's not
get
even
on the
about
plane.
the plane. The plane is going to do its job. You do your job.
Okay.
Right?
Well, see, and this is what we're going to talk. This is what we're going to
do your job and just read a book, get a movie. You don't need to pop all those bills. You don't have to do that. I'm just telling you because you know the science of what's going on, right?
Yes, I do.
First of all, there are a lot of people on that airplane that love themselves more and too much to do something stupid. Now, I will say this though, and this is where I would want to bestow to my kids is their walk with Christ. And what I mean by that is to create their fifth gospel, okay, and have faith. What does that mean? Well, there's Matthew, Luke, Mark, John, the Gospels of Christ, and then there's your own.
Okay.
Okay, and so just having faith that they're like, you know what? God created science. Man didn't create science. God created science, and science is exact. And the other thing I would say is, do you know how many flights are out to Hawaii every single
I understand, but you also understand the anxious mind.
Indeed.
So
no, I'm with you. I'm with you. So we're gonna in exposure. So I'm just saying, but you need to also focus on where you've come.
Yeah, and I just went on a helicopter, which we're gonna
that's
air that footage.
Crazy. Why would you do a helicopter?
Because it's open. I liked it. It was one more mode.
And I guess I'm being prejudiced. I just like airplanes. Airplanes are beautiful.
The pilot in the helicopter said, that helicopters chop up turbulence.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I never even experienced. I've flown in a helicopter before, but I just never piloted.
No, they just chop up the turbulence.
No
so it's
kidding.
like, oh yeah, but this was a really, really, really nice Husker helicopter.
Easy.
That,
No, it's all good.
It was really, really nice. And yes,
we got to
I had
get you
anxiety.
flying again on a regular basis.
Yes,
and
we
it's
do,
gonna be a
and
lot
we're
of
going to
fun.
follow us. We're going to have to
Yes.
we're going to have to get a recorder, and we're going to have to do this, and we're going to have to be back because we really didn't get into the stories
I know we
about
didn't. It's all good.
about us and our little Cessna and you take.
That's a story.
You got the plane, and
That's a story.
We're going to have to
And let me tell you something. She's a good pilot. Just so that you know, she has good hands, and she's a natural at it. So that's where it's gonna be. It's awesome. It's awesome.
You're going to have to come back because we really got to get to the story. We keep teasing these people.
I'm coming back. I'll be back.
We keep teasing these people and saying, okay, we're going to give you a great story. But, we haven't even began. So
we will talk about that. We'll do a little coffee talk. Next time I want some coffee, I got some awesome coffee. We'll do coffee talk and airplanes.
Okay, it sounds like a plan.
Hey, that's the title of the next episode: Coffee Talk and Airplanes.
Coffee talk. I love the way you did that.
555-4444.
I love it.
Mike Myers.
Well, thank you for watching Positive Momentum. Please come back again. If you have any questions, comments, queries, posers, as they said, go ahead and drop us an email at inquiry@positivemomentum.net or positivemomentumtv@gmail.com. Also, we have a few challenges we have out here. One of them is a health challenge. Eric and I are working on reducing our mass. So
Reducing the LBs.
Yeah, we're reducing the LBs. So as far as what, we'd like to have your challenge. What do you want to work on? Fear challenges as well. What's keeping you stuck? As Benji puts it, get up, look up, and
Never give up.
Never give up. What's got you stuck? What can topics we can talk about? Tell us that. And the last one is for advice, friendship and relationship advice. I'm still trying to be a good friend, daughter, mother, all of that. And so I'd like some information on what you think is a good friend. Go ahead and videotape you and a friend or any advice and send it on in. And look forward to seeing you later.